What's up, everybody? I just got off the phone with a guy named Calvin, and Calvin is brand new to kettlebell sport. He's done some hardstyle before, but he just did his first competition at the All-American Kettlebell Open. He competed in snatch and one-arm long cycle, and he loved it. He had a great time. He's inspired to do more, and he wants to invest in some performance kettlebells. He only has a couple of rogue hardstyle kettlebells, and he's like, I want your guys' kettlebells. I want the pro kettlebells. They're the best. But I have a limited budget and I want to train snatch. So what should I do? And his goal is to just continue to improve and get better. And so based off what he did at the competition, I said, listen, I think your goal should be to get to 16 kilo snatch, 10 minutes, 200 repetitions. I think that's a good goal. It'll keep him busy for a little while. He'll see lots of progress. It's light enough weight where he's not going to get frustrated or hurt. And the way to get there, based off his budget, I suggested he get 8, 12, and 16 kilo and 1 2-kilo chip. And, that would give him 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22 kilos. And he was skeptical. And he says, well, I think if I get an 8 and a 12 kilo kettlebell, I'm going to outgrow it so soon that it'll just be a waste of money. And my response to him was, Calvin, I've been competing since 2014. I just used 8 kilos yesterday. And I think this is what people don't get. And I really think Pavel put it in people's heads because he wrote that a man should be using a 24 kilo kettlebell, or in not so many words, that guy's just not a man. Right? And that's total BS in my opinion. And because what is beautiful about kettlebells and what's special and different about kettlebells is that it's cyclical and it's repetitive and you do a ton of volume. And so let's just say you're using an 8 kilo kettlebell, which weighs 18 pounds, and you do 100 reps. Well, that's 1,800 pounds moved in just 100 reps, right? And that adds up. And if you're brand new, you're going to feel that tomorrow. And from a training perspective, we've all heard about the 10,000 repetition rule, right? Where it takes 10,000 repetitions to gain mastery of a movement. Well, what are you more likely to get to 10,000 reps faster and better and injury-free with? A light kettlebell or a heavy kettlebell? And so much of getting better at kettlebells and developing mastery is muscle memory and getting the movement perfect so that you can't make a mistake even if you try. And I've found that the lightweight kettlebells are the key to doing that. If you want to develop speed, technical proficiency, and that muscle memory and the ability to deal with lactic acid, you really need to be training with light weights. And when I write sport programming, I do it off of percentages. And when I write 100%, 100% means that's your competition weight. Okay, so let's just say the goal for competition for you is to do 200 repetitions with a 16 kilo kettlebell. All right, easy math, right? So I would write that in percentages. So like week 1, you're going to do a 10-minute set, right? Let's say it's a 6-week program. In week 1, you're going to do a 10-minute set. right? Well, that seems crazy. It's not so crazy if you do it with 50% of your competition weight, right? Which is 8 kilos. So, week one, you may do, 10 minutes of snatch, but with 8 kilo. All right. And then you develop that muscle memory. You can work on all sorts of technique things. You can work on your hand insertion. You can work on your drop. You can really become very dexterous with this hand, which is the secret. One of the secrets to the snatch is being super dexterous with those hands. All right. And then, week two would be, 60%, which would be 10 kilos, right? Week three, we go 12 kilos. Week four, we go 14. Week five, we go week five, we do 16, but split up into 2 5s. And then, week six is go time. That's your full 16, kilo, 10-minute set. So you've actually done 5 10-minute sets prior to even stepping on the platform. And that's the beauty of those lightweight kettlebells. You couldn't do that with just working at 100% all of the time. Now, there is a time and a place to go heavy, but when you're going heavy, you have to do it in short bursts. You really have to, limit where and when you do it. And then the recovery time is going to be longer because the amount of, wear and tear it puts on the body. And there's all these little tricks that you can do with these light weights that you can't do with heavyweight. And I'll just say one trick that you can do with a lightweight that you can't do with a heavyweight is glove snatch. What's glove snatch? Well, glove snatch is where you put a cotton glove. You wear cotton gloves, which reduce the friction from your hands to the kettlebell handle, which make it feel much heavier. So it simulates what that heavy kettlebell is going to feel like in, say, minute 7 or 8 or 9 of your set. And it smooths out all of those little imperfections in your swing and in your snatch so that you're much more fluid. It improves your grip endurance, and it teaches you to deal with that heavy weight without actually having to use that heavy weight and go to those extremes and beat your body up where you're going to need a whole week to recover from it. So that's just one of the things, one of the drills that you can do with a lightweight that you could never do with a heavyweight. And so our plan for Calvin was, let's get 8, 12, and 16. 16 because 16 is his working weight, and he'll get a magnetic chip. And so now he's got all those weights. And when he hits that 200 repetition mark, that's his prize for doing that. Well, then he's going to have to buy a 20 kilo. But guess what? He's learned so much along the way to get there, and he hasn't gotten hurt. His technique is flawless at that point, and now he's got almost a whole set. So if his wife wants to join in or whatever, he can do that. So people, don't be afraid of those light weights. Those light weights are going to help you. Those light weights will help you way more than the heavier weights. You'll be able to use them consistently. I got to give you one more story. My very first kettlebell sport coach, Mikhail Marshak, he was training for his master of sport while he's in college. He's in the Army. He's stationed someplace where he doesn't have a lot of kettlebells to train with. As a matter of fact, he's only got one kettlebell. He's got a 16 kilo kettlebell. All right. He was able to do all of his training for his master of sport with a 16 kilo kettlebell through just thousands and thousands of repetitions. He got so good, so technically proficient, and did so much volume with that 16 kilo kettlebell, he was able to come back, jump into competition with a 32 kilo kettlebell, and hit his master of sport numbers. So I'll leave you guys with that. You don't always need to work with heavy weight. The heavier the weight, the greater potential for injury, the longer the recovery time. I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but the light weights are where it's at if you want to get really technically proficient and be like a magician up there with that thing.